Hi there everyone, welcome back. So today I'm going to be talking about tarot. So I can't believe I've actually not spoken about tarot yet on this channel. I know I've only done about 5 videos so far, but tarot is just one of my absolute loves. I'm just completely obsessed with it, so I still can't believe that I've done a video about fashion, which I like, but I'm not like really into, and I've never spoken about tarot. So this is actually quite overdue for me. So let's get into it. This is basically going to be quite a generic overview of tarot, just for people who don't really know anything about tarot. So if you already know roughly, about the deck, how many cards there are, and if you can read tarot, then this video might not be that helpful for you. This is very, very, very basic information. However, for those of you that don't know anything and you are interested in tarot, you're just wanting to get started, this is just a very brief introduction, just so you kind of know the lay of the land, and maybe it takes a bit of the mystery out of tarot for you. Because it can be quite daunting, especially, if you know absolutely nothing, to get these 78 cards and think, oh, I've got to learn a meaning, like 78 different meanings off by heart. And I mean, that kind of is the case, but it's a lot more simple than that. And I just hope that in this video I can kind of make you feel a bit more like it's a bit more realistic and like you can do it. So the way I actually learned tarot was I followed Maddox's tarot trainees course, and I will link that below because that is just the most amazing. It blew my mind. The way she explained the cards and all the suits and everything. I learned tarot in one day just through following that course. I went from knowing none of the meanings, or very, very few of the meanings, to being able to pick any card and immediately be able to say the traditional meanings behind the card. It obviously takes a little bit of time to learn how to put the cards together, read the spread as a whole, but that is just a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful place to get started. So I will link that down below, and make sure you check that out if you're interested in reading tarot thoroughly. I'm also in this video not really going to talk too much about the origins of tarot because it's like quite messy, and Kelly explains that in her course kind of better than I could. I would just be kind of repeating information, so there's really not much point. So let's get into it. So there are 78 cards in a tarot deck. So when you get a deck, I will just show you. So it'll be like this. This isn't all of the cards because I've split them up for this video, but you will have 78 cards in your deck, and they'll all have pictures on them depicting some kind of scene. Okay? In most decks. So a tarot deck is split into 2 different sections, the Major Arcana and the Minor Arcana. The Major Arcana consists of 22 cards labelled from 0, which is full, all the way up to 21. So I'll just show you those now. So I'm in this video using the Robin Wood Tarot. Now this is my first tarot deck that I ever got, and it's very good for beginners because it follows very traditional imagery. All the suits are the traditional suits, and it's just a lot easier to interpret because the images are not abstract, they are quite kind of obvious images. So I think this is quite a good one. It's very similar to the Rider White deck. Now the Rider White deck is the most popular tarot deck, and it's the one that Kellyanne uses in her course, and I was able to follow it perfectly well with this Robin Wood deck. So it's probably quite good if you are a beginner to get quite a traditional deck. In my opinion, you can very quickly move on to decks that maybe you might be more drawn to, but just for learning the traditional meanings, I think that a deck such as this, or the Rider Waite, would be a good place to start. And then you can kind of, once you've learned these, you'll find that there's so much crossover between decks, particularly if they incorporate quite traditional themes throughout them, even if the images themselves are more abstract. So the Major Arcana goes from here, which is the Fool, all the way through, and these all have names, like, there we go, the Emperor, got the Hierophant, the Lovers, etc, 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 until we get to the world. Now, these all have meanings of their own, but they are quite self-explanatory when you kind of look at the images on the card. So for example, we'll just say this one, the tower, that's a symbol of loss. Predominantly, it's a loss. It shows that you're going to have to build something back up from its foundations. It's not all bad, you know, it just shows that you're going to have to put a lot of work in to rebuild something, and you know, once you've rebuilt it, it could be that it turned out for the better. So there's no real all good or all bad cards in tarot, in my opinion. So that's the major arcana. So the minor arcana is split into 4 suits. So the suits are traditionally suit of swords, the suit of wands, the suit of cups and the suit of pentacles. And these 4 suits all have their own distinct themes that run throughout. Pentacles are to do with earth. So each suit is linked to one of the 4 elements. And, well, 5 if you include the major arcana and spirit. So pentacles are linked to the element of earth, and that's all to do with money, career, the material realm, things happening in the here and now, health. Basically think of the phrase down to earth and you kind of, you know, you'll get it. And then, I can't remember which actual order I just did them in, but the suit of cups is linked to water, and that's all to do with family and love, kind of fluidity, etc. The suit of wands is all to do with fire, so that's passion, creativity, a bit of kind of creation and destruction at the same time. It's like the spark of life, and it's very, very energetic. And then finally, which one haven't I said? I haven't said swords. Swords are to do with air. So air is all about knowledge, it's about sort of wisdom in a sense, it's about your own code of ethics, it's about being sure of who you are and kind of your own moral code, and it's a lot of internal kind of thought, like processing basically. There's a lot more to it, but that's the general overview. So they are the 4 suits that you have in tarot. Now within each of these 4 suits there are 14 cards. So you have your 10 numbered cards. I'll just find you an example. Right. So here I've got the suit of swords. So within the suit of swords we have 1 all the way through to 10. Okay, so we've got your 10 picture cards. Now each number has its specific meaning as well. So through every suit has all of these cards. Every number has its own specific meaning. So the ones basically kind of encompass the theme of that general deck, and it's the same in every suit. The 2s represent balance with relation to what suit it's in, and so on and so forth. And then at the end here we have the 4 court cards, which you can see. So we have the Page of Swords, we have the Knight of Swords, the Queen of Swords, and we have the King of Swords. Now these, again, the Kings, Queens, Knights and Pages all have meanings that are similar, but they all relate to which suit they're in. And that is the structure of a tarot deck. So you've got your major arcana, which is all your 0 to 21 cards that have very specific meanings, they are named, and then you've got your minor arcana, which is all your numbered cards, your 4 suits with the numbered cards, and the 4 court cards within each suit. So that is 78 cards in total. So if you are wanting to learn the meanings for all the cards, again, do the course that I will link in the description, and basically that will give you kind of an overview of what each card means. So by the end of that you should be able to like just pick out a card and say exactly what it means. And one thing I will say is that you should also kind of look to, once you're comfortable with that, look to putting your own meanings on cards. There's absolutely nothing wrong with putting your own interpretations in, and when you're reading for yourself and others, you obviously want to tailor whatever you're saying to the querent or to yourself, your own situation. You know, every reading, you know, is going to be completely different. So, for example, you know, if I pick out the Three of Swords, if I'm doing a reading for myself about my current work situation, which is a bit of a shambles at the minute, that I will interpret that using the base meaning, the traditional meaning, but I will tailor it to my situation. In exactly the same way as if I was reading for someone about their love life and I drew this card, I would say some of the same things, but I would tailor it to their specific situation. Now, what do I use tarot for? Now, this is very, very personal, and it's very down to the individual, so pretty much every tarot reader reads differently. Now, I do not predict the future with tarot. That is just not something that I feel like I can do. I know a lot of tarot readers, and particularly the ones that I follow, feel the same. I probably follow them because they feel the same, so what they do is more relevant to me, but I just don't feel like I can do that. I don't really know if that's something that's possible, and I wouldn't actually want to know the future. I wouldn't go as far as to say it's unethical, because I think that a lot of the times it can serve as a warning or as a way of giving advice, but I don't think that you should tell someone when a certain event is going to happen in their life. But at the end of the day, they've come to you and they've asked you, so if that's something you feel like you can do, by all means go for it, but that is not what I do. So I use tarot basically as an exploratory tool in order to empower myself and others to make decisions for themselves. So tarot to me is all about the querent coming to a decision. It's all about exploring the different possibilities, it's about being challenged, it's about kind of looking at life through a different lens, through a different perspective, in a way that you wouldn't have looked at whatever situation it is, you know, ordinarily. It's kind of a shift, really. It's like, kind of, when you write a story, think of it as an alternative way of telling that story, you know, like feminist retellings of tales, or whatever, you know. It's kind of just a different way of looking at something that might shed light on something that you'd not thought about before. And that's how I like to use tarot. And it's such an illuminating tool. It really kind of, it's very, very telling, and the readings are so, I don't know, it's one of those difficult things where everything, like, you won't really know unless you've had a reading or if you practice tarot, but it's spooky, for want of a better word, how accurate and how much they kind of just sock it to you, the cards. They just really tell you how it is. You know, they don't bullshit you, they don't mess about, they just tell you how it is. It's kind of like a bit of tough love a lot of the time is tarot, to be honest, which is just fantastic. I'm really sorry, I've been shuffling these cards the whole time, it's just force of habit. If you can hear it, I am really sorry, that's going to be annoying. I'll put them down. So while you're learning tarot, there's absolutely nothing wrong at all with just doing spreads. You can start small, just do a 3-card spread. You can do past, present, future, and again, when I say future, I don't mean it's more advice for the future. It's something that could unfold, not this is going to happen. You can do so you can do past, present, future. You can do 1 card, just pull a card and just test yourself that way. You can do situation, action, outcome. You can do maiden, mother, crone. You can do option 1, option 2, option 3. There's loads and loads of 3-card spreads that you can do. You can do 1 card, do a daily draw, just a random card, just to test yourself at any point. And you can also practice, this is something that Kelly said that really helped me, and it was doing readings for fictional characters, which is just so fun to do. I just love it, and it's crazy how much you can delve into it, how accurate they are, and just the amount of juiciness you can get out of reading for a fictional character. So that's a really good way to practice. So another thing I would say with tarot is that it's important to work with decks that you're drawn to, because then you'll just want to pick them up, you want to flick through. If you're drawn to the imagery in it, it's just so much more compelling to actually sit down and work with your deck. Now, this Robin Wood deck wouldn't be my number one choice for a deck in terms of the imagery. I chose it just because it was a very good beginner deck, and I have developed an intense kind of connection with it as the time has gone on. However, it's not quite me. It's just not quite me. Now, one deck that has been extremely popular for good reason is the Wild Unknown deck. I'll just show you it now in case you've not seen it. It's like this. And this has much more abstract imagery on it. However, actually, when you look at it, the suits are actually the exact same suits as in the traditional deck. So you've got your pentacles, swords, wands and cups. And really, actually, a lot of the imagery is more similar than you would think. So once you've got down with a very straightforward deck, something like this, which actually looks a lot more abstract to follow, actually starts to make a lot more sense than, for example, the Wildwood tarot deck. So the Wildwood tarot deck is, the suits are different and the major arcana cards are largely different, and that would, even though the imagery in the Wildwood deck is, I'm just wondering whether to get it, but it's miles away. The imagery in the Wildwood deck is quite clear. I thought that would be a good second deck to get, but actually it's way more different than this one is to a traditional deck. So it's just something to think about. So for a second deck, I would, if you want something that you're going to be able to pick up quite quickly, I would encourage you to get something that follows the same suits and has the same major arcana cards, because that is just a lot easier. But if you want a bit of a challenge, then go for it. At the end of the day, if it's a deck that you really love and you just cannot help but pick up and shuffle and, you know, mess with all the time, then and you're willing to put the work in, then that's gonna work the best for you. But it's all about knowing what will work the best for you. So sorry, I'm just looking through this. I just love it. I'm just obsessed. Like, the imagery is just so gorgeous. And I only got this actually very recently, so I've not yet done too much with this. I am actually going to be filming a video about how I'm bonding with this tarot deck very shortly, so make sure you subscribe and stay tuned for that one. So tarot has actually got quite a reputation for some reason of being quite a creepy occult thing to do. It kind of conjures up images of people sitting with like cloaks over their heads in like a really dark, dingy corner of a room with a little round table, kind of, you know, doing spreads and telling people they're about to die. But really, tarot has kind of moved on so much. I think it was picked up by a lot of occultists. Anyway, they kind of took it and made it seem a lot spookier than it actually is. You know, tarot is just a load of cards with a load of pictures on that kind of span the whole human experience, and that's just what I see them as. I just see them as images depicting the entirety of human experience, and, you know, through those you can kind of use the archetypes and the images and the messages from the tarot to help empower you in your own life, empower you to make decisions, empower you to feel like you're in the driver's seat, to feel like you can make changes and give you the chance to make an informed decision, to shift your perspective, just to give you a bit of a helping hand. It's just like having a friend that, you know, a no-nonsense friend basically is the tarot to me. So it's really not anything that spooky, and it's becoming a lot more kind of common and accepted now. You know, I meet a lot of people who say, oh, tarot, I'd love to have a tarot reading. Whereas years ago, I knew none. Like, I'm super glad, because it is just the best thing in the entire world. So yes, that's that. So I'm going to end this video here. It was a very quick overview, but I will be making lots and lots and lots more videos delving deeper into the suits and the specific meanings of the suits and major arcana cards and the court cards and everything. I'm going to go way more in depth, but I just wanted to do a quick overview before I really dive into it, just so that I've kind of covered everything, if you see what I mean. I don't want people coming to it and thinking, whoa, what the hell. So I really hope you enjoyed this video, and if you didn't know anything about tarot, you found it somewhat interesting and useful. Right, so thank you very much for watching, and I will speak to you soon. Bye.